Where were the drums for the rest of the song, Kanye? Where are the drums? What's up, statue dudes? Welcome to the Marble Statues YouTube channel. I'm Light, and it's time for a review of Kanye West's new album, Donda. Donda. This one was quite a doozy, so I think I'm just gonna get right into it. Make sure you stick around all the way to the end because I'm gonna give it a score out of 10, and drop a comment and let me know if you agree with my rating. Don't forget to chisel that like button if you like the review, and hit that subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss out on anything Marble Statues. Alright, so the album is called Donda, apparently named after his mother who is now deceased, which does kind of make me feel bad for what I'm gonna say, but like I said in my Billie Eilish review, I'm looking at the musicality and the creativity of the album, so none of this is about the artist or their family or anything like that. So moving on to the album art is definitely a choice, shall we say. It's a black square with no text and no images, which does definitely make it stick out on Spotify because it makes it look like the art didn't load. I'm gonna start my critique right at the very beginning of the album with the first track, Donda Chant. If you haven't heard it, it is literally, and I literally mean literally here, this is not a misuse of that word, a minute-long track of someone saying Donda over and over again at different speeds and with like different enunciations. I like weird music, okay? So this is not one of those, oh, you just don't understand the art, so artsy. It's not one of those situations. One of my favorite bands is The Books, and funnily enough, they actually have a song that's kind of similar to this. It's called Explanation Mark, and it features various vocal samples of people saying different vowel and consonant sounds from what seems to be like a bunch of tapes that help you learn a new language. But it's layered and it's organized in a way that actually flows and creates a sense of direction and purpose. And it's a lot shorter too. It's only like 20 seconds. So that helps make it not feel so repetitive and like, all right, when are we gonna get on to the next thing? It actually makes me wonder if Kanye has been listening to some like avant-garde artists like The Books, or maybe even that song, I don't know. And that inspired him like to make some of the stuff on this album, but he just didn't quite know how to achieve that type of thing. All right, moving on to track 2. And oh my God, there are 27 tracks on this album, which is a whole other issue, but don't worry, we're not gonna go into detail on every one of the songs, but I did want to do a breakdown of track 2, specifically because the problems I have with this track are really the problems I have with the album as a whole. Track 2 is called Jail, and when it first came on, I was like, oh no, am I actually gonna like one of the songs on this album? But no, it's terrible. And for all they talk about going to jail on the track, the song doesn't ever actually go anywhere. There's a lot of catchy hooks and some good things going on maybe, but the song as a whole just falls totally flat. I mean, where do I even start? I guess I'll start with the drums, or maybe I should say the lack thereof, since y'all know I'm Light the Mad Drummer. But yeah, this is sort of a problem with several songs on the album, and it's that there's literally no drum beat for the entire length of the song. Or I guess there are some drums, but they come in literally at the very end of the song after everything else has stopped. So you have like 30 plus seconds of only drums at the end of the song. Where were the drums for the rest of the song, Kanye? Where are the drums? I guess it's supposed to be like a commentary on modern music or something, because, I mean, if we're being honest, drums do really dominate the mix of most modern music, and they're almost always the loudest thing in a song. But there is a reason for that. I mean, first off, it gives you something to dance to. They give structure and stability to a song, and especially in a rap, like hip-hop type song, since the vocals are usually very rhythmic, it gives them something to sort of match up with, which is the problem in this song. The background track is very sparse and legato, but the vocals are super rhythmic, so it just doesn't flow at all. Honestly, what it sounds like to me is like something a novice would do, and it's like he created all the background parts first and then tried to put a drum beat to it, but maybe the kick covered up some part of the bass that he really liked, or the snare didn't mesh with the guitar sound, so he just kind of moved them all to the end of the project, listened back to the whole thing, and when the drums came on, after everything else stopped, he was like, oh, that's cool. We should leave it like that. So cool. But yeah, this is a problem that persists throughout the album. And I could even get behind it if he went for like a minimalist kind of thing where there's just some snaps on the backbeat or something, but no. He had to do the no drums at all thing, and guess what? The music suffers for it. I mean, that's what gets me, dude. It's like, why did you even make an album if you're not gonna put the music first? Another big problem with this song, and again, pretty much all of the songs on the album, is that they're super repetitive and they don't ever really go anywhere. It doesn't develop. In fact, it's so bad that if you scrub like 30 seconds ahead in any given song, it doesn't sound like you've moved at all. Typically, if you did that, you would move from like a verse section to a chorus section. And I'm not saying that there aren't verses and choruses on these songs, but what I am saying is that they're over the same loop, and in most cases, those sections don't sound distinctly different. Like there's no new instruments or parts of the loop that drop in and out to distinguish the sections. It's like the worst case of copy-paste music making, and I don't hate copy-paste music making as long as there's some creative things happening that give the song some life or direction or development, but there's just no creativity here. On to the lyrics, man. The lyrics are absolutely vapid on this song and the entire album, especially for an album that he has said many times was a gospel album. I'm not a religious person, but the lyrics seem to completely be misunderstanding the point of the religion. Let me give an example from Jail. During the bridge, we hear, "God in my cells, that's my cellie. Made in the image of God, that's a selfie." It's just boast rap using God as a flex. Weird flex, but okay. Now, granted, from what I understand, that is Jay-Z's verse, but let's be honest, this is par for the course for the lyrics on this album. Okay, so let's talk about Jail Part 2, because Jail is actually one of 4 songs to get a Part 2 at the end of the album, which when I first saw that, I was kind of like, that's interesting, because like I said in the last album review, I love it when musical themes and motifs are actually developed over the entire course of an album, but unfortunately, none of these Part 2s actually do that. Jail Part 2 is literally copied and pasted from the beginning of the album to the end of the album with only one change, which is during the bridge, there's a different artist doing like a different rap verse. It's just there to get more plays on Spotify. Everything else is exactly the same. This isn't a Part 2. This is Jail featuring X new rapper. A good example of how to do a song with multiple parts across the album would be Pink Floyd's Shine On You Crazy Diamond. If you listen to the track at the beginning of the album and then listen to the track at the end of the album, it is distinctly different, but it keeps the same motifs from the first one, and it shows you them under a different light and from a new angle. Which, by the way, if you want an example of a highly rated album on my scale, Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here, which is the album that Shine On You Crazy Diamond came from, would probably be like a 9. Speaking of album scores, let's get into what I'm gonna rate this album. So as a whole, this album just feels unfinished, with the songs that are totally missing a drum beat and the nature of pretty much all the songs literally just being one loop for their entire length and not really changing or developing into a fully fledged piece of music. It sounds like maybe he was hearing something in his head and like had a vision for it, but just didn't know how to achieve that vision. It was super hard to listen to all the way through, and especially with it being 27 tracks and almost 2 hours long, dude. I'm giving this album a 1. A 1 out of 10. It should be a 0, but I'll give him a little bit of credit because there were a few catchy hooks, and I liked that he tried to do some of the symmetry of the album of having the Part 2s at the end, even though, I mean, they were executed terribly, let's be honest. But like I said, I'll give him credit for trying. All right, that wraps up this album review. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Am I right? Am I wrong? Did I miss the point completely? Don't forget to chisel that like button, hit that subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss out on anything Marvel statues. Peace out.